It's interesting because it made me feel less at home and more at home at school.
I really like this thing about American culture that you would dream big.
Hi, my name's Henry.
Hi, my name is Dana. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
I am from Iran, but I was born in Orlando, Florida. But we moved to Iran with my parents when I was around 4 years old. And I moved back to the United States again 2 years ago. And yeah, here I am. How about you?
I'm from Zimbabwe. I was born there, but I came here when I was about a year old. And so we moved to the DC area then, and I've always kind of lived around here. Initially, I was studying civil engineering until last year, and then I changed my path and went with psychology instead.
That's a big change.
Yeah, a little bit. It's something, but I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, I feel like MC is a really great experience and is a really great place to start, especially for me because I wasn't here for like years. So I didn't go to high school here either. And when I first started at MC, it was kind of hard to adjust to like the educational system and stuff like that, especially like writing long papers because we don't do that in Iran, at least till like you get into the college. So it was kind of hard for me, but now I think I'm actually good at it. So it's a really great experience, and it's a really good way to adjust to U.S. educational system. So you were a year old when you moved to U.S.
Yeah.
And do you know like how your parents felt like when they moved to U.S.? Like, was it hard for them, or?
They had been debating it for a few years before that, because there was a lot of political turmoil in Zimbabwe at the time, and so they wanted to give my older sister and I a better opportunity here, and so they'd already been here before I was born, and then by the time I was born, they'd already made up their mind.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Have you gone back? Have you visited there, or?
I've been back 4 times.
Oh, really? Wow.
But I haven't been back since I was 8.
Okay.
So, and on that, what was it like for you growing up in Iran?
So I grew up in a small town in Tehran, and I have a lot of best friends there. Not a lot of, there's like 4, but we're really close, and they were like family to me. So that was the hardest part when I moved here. And we're still in touch. We still talk every day. Yeah. But a lot of people think Iran is just like a small country that its women are not allowed to wear jeans or legally drive, but that's not true at all. And I learned a lot of stuff there. I was actually a competitive swimmer there.
Oh, wow.
And we get to have national races and stuff, so it was a really good experience for me. And in high school, we get to do a lot of things experientially, like we have student senate, stuff like that, and it's a really good memory for me, and I still go back. I went there last summer.
Oh, wow.
So how was your parents' experience about immigration here?
At first, they really didn't like it. They originally thought that they were just going to come here for a few years and just go on with that. The reason why besides the political turmoil, my mom got a job offer here in DC, and so she thought it was just going to be a temporary thing and they were going to move on.
Yeah.
And they didn't really feel comfortable like in the neighborhoods, and so they felt really isolated and separated from everyone else. And growing up, they tried to surround me with Zimbabwean culture as much as they could so as to not have me lose that. And they didn't really want to integrate themselves back into American culture a little bit. But over time, it sort of grew on them a little bit, and me being raised in it, it was its own.
Yeah, I totally
thing.
understand that, because that was basically the main reason my parents moved me and my brother to Iran, because they wanted us to basically grow up with the Persian culture and learn Farsi as a native language and be able to speak that very well. And I think they were successful because there are some stuff in Persian culture that are really important especially for the parents, I would say, like how you need to be very respectful to your elders, or how you need to be kind to your younger ones, stuff like that. There's also a lot of literature masterpieces, I would say, in a Persian language. So my father specifically wanted me to be able to read them and learn what they say. So yeah, that was the main reason we moved to Iran.
For you, having mostly grown up there and then come here only 2 years ago, as you said, how do you feel about how do the cultures compare to one another, would you say?
I would say at first it was a little bit of a shock for me, because I moved to Florida first when I moved here. And Florida is very different than Maryland. In Maryland, there are a lot of immigrant people here. So I would say if you're here, you won't feel that kind of like separated and isolated from other people. And specifically at MC, you get to like talk to a lot of people from a lot of different countries. So I think that's a very good experience. And I would say, yeah, at first it was a little bit of shock for me when I first moved to Florida, because I didn't know like how I should act or what the culture is there. But after that, I got used to it. Now I can like talk to a lot of people, and it's easier, you know.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's interesting because for me, like having mostly kind of grown up here, like as you said, like being here in Maryland, there's a lot of like a strong like immigrant population, and so I never really thought about it all that much. But for like whenever I'd be at home, my family would try to have because there's a lot of Zimbabweans in the area, and so we'd be like the center of the Zimbabwean community for the area, and so we'd have people from Zimbabwe at our house a lot.
Oh wow!
And so whenever like I was at home around all of them, having mostly grown up here, and unlike you who got to learn Farsi when you were younger, our native language Shona, I never really got to learn it. And so being around all of them when I was younger, and like hearing all of them speak Shona, but the words just kind of flying over my head, it was a weird like dichotomy sort of thing. And it's interesting because it made me feel less at home and more at home at school.
Oh, wow.
Just kind of like,
I get that.
because I was already used to it.
Yeah, it's really interesting here because every group from every different country keep their traditions, I would say. I mean, in Maryland, there are a lot of Iranian people here. And I see a lot of people from Peru. I have a friend from South Africa. I have a friend from Uzbekistan. I have a lot of friends from different countries. And I think that's really cool because you get to know a lot of different cultures.
How much would you say you try to integrate yourself into American culture? Or would you say that you try to just sustain like your Iranian roots having come here now?
I would say everything has pros and cons. So I always try to gain the good parts of everything and then let go of the bad parts.
Yeah.
So I really like this thing about American culture, that you would dream big and you would try so hard for it, and you know that you like hard work pays off. And about Persian culture, I would keep the respect for my elders and the kindness to my young ones. And so I would say I would try to attract different parts of every culture. Yeah, how about you?
For me, I'd say from Zimbabwean culture, I definitely try to keep like the family sort of feel, because whenever we have someone over to our house, for example, like we almost always try to have a meal with them, because like when you're sitting at the table with them, you feel comfortable with them.
Exactly.
And so now like
in Iran is like that too.
yeah, exactly. And so like whenever like I'm around my friends and everything, and my friends always asking what do we want to do, like for me it's always food, like somewhere around food, because it's like I just feel comfortable like sitting at the table and sitting down and talking to them. And a little bit of the respect for elders as well. But I'd say from the American culture, just being open-minded and seeing like all kinds of possibilities. In Zimbabwe, it's fairly open-minded, but in terms of like the careers you get to do, it's mostly just kind of like engineering or being a lawyer or being a doctor.
It's like that in Iran too. Everyone thinks that I would not say everyone, but most of the people think their children should become doctors or engineers. That's why I first went to the science major, because everyone was like, I should become a doctor, I should become a dentist. So I went to the science field. But I went to the university in Iran for like a year, and I changed my major from chemistry to business in my second semester. And that's why when I moved to US, I started as a business major, because I knew that was the thing for me. But yeah, so there are similarities between our culture. I like that.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's awesome. And then the other nice thing is that, like having been here, like for me, like if I had been in Zimbabwe and I felt like civil engineering wasn't really right for me, I couldn't really have changed my path, because there's more opportunities open here.
Yeah.
And so like being here and getting to see, oh, okay, psychology has cool things, like I got to like kind of go down that way.
Do you know what part of psychology you want to go into specifically later, or no?
I love working with teens.
Wow.
I'm a teaching assistant for a statistics class here,
awesome.
actually, and so I get to spend like 2 days a week with them and like working with them and talking with them, and it's kind of like not really like a social experiment for me, but just kind of seeing like how like people really are and how they interact with each other and how they think. And I also teach a confirmation class at my church for high school teens, and so I really get to be around them a lot, and I enjoy the conversations I have with them and learning about all the different like social norm things and like trying to relate it all to whatever it is we're talking about. What kind of stereotypes would you say that you yourself have experienced or like have felt like you've been affiliated with because of where your family is from?
That's a great question. I get a lot of people telling me you're Arab, but that's not true, because a lot of people think Arabs and Persians are from the same nation, but that is not true at all. I've also gotten, if I'm Hispanic, because of the color of my hair. So yeah, that's kind of the stereotype I always get, specifically the Arab ones. But I kind of get that because both Arabian countries and Iran are Muslim countries, but the languages are different, the literature is different, and the culture, I would say, is different, and the religion is the only mutual part, I would say. But how about you? Have you gotten any stereotypes?
People like, firstly, whenever I say that I'm from Zimbabwe, people almost always don't even know it exists. And so, like, when I was younger, like, on the playground in elementary school, like, I'd tell people, like, oh, yeah, I'm from Zimbabwe. And they'd be like, is that, like, a plant or something? And it's, like, just firstly kind of, like, the ignorance about it. But then beyond that, they kind of assume that I'm just not as intelligent because of that. And it's tough because, like, I'll kind of walk into a room and, like, I'll have to, like, present about something, and it's like just kind of like getting the vibe that the atmosphere gives off something that says that we don't know how much you actually know and how much you can actually bring to the table. It's interesting, but it's not like in that, like, oh, you know, like, that's terrible. It kind of like drives me a little bit to be like, okay, well, like, now I can just prove you wrong in your own little way. And also, they also think that we sound different. And so, like, whenever I speak, because I have a little bit of an accent, they always say, oh, like, wait, you're from England? I thought, like, why do you sound like you're from England but you're from Africa? And it's like, no, like, we were a British colony too.
Yeah.
Like, we just got the same language that you got, but it's like people just kind of like place that assumption.
I totally understand that. It's just like how some people think everyone from Middle East is a terrorist. That's why I don't like travel ban at all.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I don't agree with generalize in general. Because if you say everyone who's from Middle East is not allowed to come to the country, it's just like you're saying everyone from Middle East is a terrorist. And then it's just like saying all the Americans kill people with guns just because one American killed people with guns. You know what I mean? So it doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like there's such like a culture of like oversimplification, and it's like overgeneralizing like everything, and it's so difficult with something like that because it's not like it's just something that you can easily fix. It's kind of like everyone kind of assumes that something like that, oh, okay, well, like I've been taught since I was younger that people from the Middle East are terrorists, but I don't think you're a terrorist. And it's like, how can I say that everyone is? You know, like if just because I meet one person that's like that doesn't mean that everyone's like that. And it's like everyone has their own story.
Exactly.
So.
It doesn't make sense.
All right, well, it was lovely meeting you.
It was so nice to meet you and great to know you. And we should exchange number and talk about our stereotypes.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great conversation.